thanks for joining us on the FCT Call Center on ASO Radio and Television Services. I am Paulina Adojo. On FCT Call Center, we bring you the activities of the secretariats, the departments, and the agencies of the Federal Capital Territory. This program also gives residents of the FCT the opportunity to participate in governance, and this is done via phone calls. So if you have any question or contribution, you can channel your question or contribution to the FCT Call Center. I'll be giving you the number in the course of the program. Today on the FCT Call Center, we have the Director of Abuja Environmental Protection Board, Engineer Osilama Brema. Thank you very much for joining us on the FCT Call Center today.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
FCT Call Center is live on DSTV channel 392. We're on Star Times TV channel 127 and on Free TV channel 507. You can also listen to us on ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this time.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial.
This is the FCT Call Center. Today on the program, we have the Director of AEPB, Engineer Osilama Brema. Welcome once again to the FCT Call Center. Please tell us what you do at the Abuja Environmental Protection Board.
Thank you very much. Good morning once again. At the Abuja Environmental Protection Board, our primary responsibility is to ensure that residents of the Federal Capital Territory and those visiting live in a wholesome, clean, and hygienic environment. How do we achieve this? We achieve this by implementing efficient waste management, that is waste removal and disposal. We also achieve this by proper sewage management. Abuja is unique in the sense that we have a sewage conveyance system underground, conduit pipes conveying sewage from your homes to the various treatment plants that we are running in the city. Thirdly, we ensure that you live in a good environment by implementing good public order. We have a monitoring and enforcement department that is responsible for this. That is things like hawking, begging, living on the streets. There are laws in the FCT against such behavior. So the Department of Monitoring and Enforcement implements this section of the law. We also have a Department of Environmental Health and Safety. They are responsible for public hygiene, public cleanliness in the community, enlightenment programs regarding issue of hygiene, and they also spend time teaching residents in rural communities and indeed even the city on how to live in a clean and wholesome environment.
Okay, now recently the FCT administration announced a strict and zero tolerance policy on open defecation, emphasizing that compliance with this policy is non-negotiable. Now, what steps has the AEPB taken to ensure and to encourage FCT residents to refrain from engaging in such act? Because it is glaring in the daytime. It is glaring to see full-grown men defecating and urinating carelessly on the streets of the FCT.
Thank you very much. This is a very serious matter. As you know, Nigeria ranks very poorly in the area of open defecation. It's a global problem presenting itself now in Nigeria in a very negative way. In the FCT, we have looked at this problem closely, and we've seen that it is largely a social problem presenting itself now as an environmental and a public health problem. What are the reasons for this? Largely rural-urban migration. There's a huge population increase now in the FCT. In the last 10 years or more, we've noticed significant increase in population. And open defecation really occurs when you have a large population of people not having homes. So it's an issue really of homelessness. For those who have proper accommodation, they do their hygiene things in the morning and they move to their offices. But if you have a situation where people are living on the streets, like you have people begging, people hawking, people selling maybe boiled corn and so on the streets, this is where they live, this is where they operate from, and they are human beings with biological needs. So this is where we've seen that this problem is coming from. If you, of course, you are aware that about a week ago, the minister gave his instructions that people should stop begging and were mandated to remove hawkers from the street. In the FCT, it is illegal to beg on streets. It is illegal to hawk. Not only does it have security implications like the Honorable Minister mentioned, it also has now public health implications like the one I just drew your attention to. People are living on the streets, under the bridges, of Ambola, living in all kinds of corners in the city, without toilets, without bathrooms, without hygiene facilities. This is where this problem is coming from. So they end up using our drains as toilets. And this is a very dangerous act because, as I mentioned to you, of the public health implication of this. Hospitals, yes, cholera. In the hospitals, if you know dysentery, thank you. In the hospitals, when you go to do tests, they might take urine and stool, meaning that diseases present themselves in those
culture.
Yes, those culture. That's what it means. So if somebody who is ill now is defecating on the streets and urinating everywhere, this has grave, serious public health implications. And our Department of Environmental Health also goes around to the communities, the informal settlements, to enlighten them. You'll be surprised to know that people still build houses in these communities without toilets. So we go around, carrying out campaigns in the villages. I've partaken in many of them myself, where we encourage them to build toilets. We talk to landlords to build toilets. And sometime in November, next month, November 19th, we're having a program again in Bari to draw attention of FCT residents and those in area councils on the need to stop open defecation, primarily by providing toilets in the communities where they live. There are those who advocate for public toilets. It can also be challenging regarding maintenance issue. Who maintains the toilet if you put it in an isolated place? So we encourage people to have toilets where they live and where they work. These are the 2 points that a human being will spend most of his day.
Okay. Now, what has the AEPP done to manage the growing population in the FCT in the area of waste disposal. What recently have you put in place to manage waste disposal, considering the growing population in the FCT?
Yes, truly, the population is growing at an astronomical rate, largely because people look at the FCT as a safe place. It's a very clean city. People look at the FCT as a place of opportunity. So a lot of people also move here without any proper plan. This where you have issues of open defecation and littering also. If you follow the news last week, the Abuja Municipal Area Council put out announcements telling people to complete their buildings, that all property developers should endeavor to build and complete it, because people that live in these buildings also present a challenge to the administration regarding security and also regarding waste disposal. They are informal settlements, and the waste they generate are usually strewn on the road. They don't buy waste bins, they don't bag their waste. So these are issues that we have. So we try to cope as much as we can by having prompt removal of waste. For those who live in estates and formal settlements, we also encourage waste recycling and separation. We have ongoing programs in Life Camp in Gwarimpa, where we encourage residents to separate their waste. We have private companies who are involved in this business for profit, and they also help us to achieve this objective by minimizing the waste that gets our landfill site. So in the FCT now, we're dealing with about 900 tons of waste per day. That will amount to roughly about 120 or 130 compacting trucks going to the dump site. There's a humongous amount of waste because of the huge population and the increase that we are noticing. So it's a big challenge. The waste management itself could be managed if residents endeavor to buy waste bins to containerize their waste. That makes removal very easy. And also not to litter. If you go along the expressways, people just bag their waste and throw it out of their car windows. These fugitive wastes are difficult to manage because it means we have to know, first of all, that the waste is there. Somebody has to go now to remove it. But if you bag your waste properly in a proper container, 240-liter bin, the green bin, then our people can go and now remove. So most of the problem that you have is people littering and dumping waste in unauthorized places. If they are properly containerized, we can reach it and we can remove. So it's a huge challenge, but we are struggling to meet that challenge.
Okay. Now, with the trend in technology and the world over, what have you put in place? What new technology have you introduced to effectively manage waste in the FCT?
So we're now to solid waste now. I don't need to do a distinction between solid waste and liquid waste. So for solid waste, like I told you, we are encouraging now waste minimization and reduction at source. And then the administration also has on the pipeline about 4 waste transfer stations in Mpape, in Gudu. It's been built already, in Kubwa. So these waste transfer stations will be a midway point for waste removal. Midway meaning that rather than driving 40 kilometers to the dump site, there will be an intermediary point where the waste are deposited. So the trucks can turn around quickly and go back to the field. Then maybe once a week or thereabout, or once in 2 weeks, we now use bigger trucks to convey the waste from that midway point to the proper dump site. This will increase efficiency. This will reduce costs in waste removal, and this will make us to have a cleaner city. But again, there are also plants, and there are companies also at the dump site who are now recycling. Yes, I'm sure you've seen them. They're recycling informally and formally. There are those who are also involved in composting. There's organic materials. So that is why we must implement, as we are trying to do, waste separation at source. When the waste are in different components, the various components are easier to deal with. So you have the plastics, the PET bottles, the metals, and the organics. We can deal with them in those separate components. That's why we're trying to implement waste minimization and reduction at source. Again, I still go back to the point of containerization. If you go to highbrow areas, you see big, beautiful buildings with just a bucket. So people use bathtubs to keep waste. This is not allowed. What's allowed is a 240-liter bin, or a 120-liter bin, or a galvanized bin, 1.1 cubic meter galvanized bin. This is the proper waste containers that we allow in the FCT. Any other waste container is illegal. And I want to appeal to residents of the FCT, those watching this program, that this is the law. Any other thing is a violation of the law, and you can be taken to court for that. So this will also help us to achieve what we want to do to have a clean and nice city to live in. I am taking time to also push it to our own people that we are doing our own part as government. For citizens too must also do their own part. If the waste is just, for example, if the waste is in front of your house, it's your responsibility to make sure it's well containerized. That even the front of your house is clean. There's not so much to ask for. That your own front is well maintained, you look at it, you make sure it's nice, then the whole street now looks good. So we now come and do our own part. But if the waste is all over, strewn all across the streets and everywhere, it presents a challenge. The workers now take time, rather than spending just 10 minutes in your house, you spend 30 minutes scooping up the waste that is all over, and this makes the work very difficult for them, and then efficiency is reduced thereby.
Okay. From what you have said so far, how often do you carry out enforcement, any punitive measures to whoever violates this law? And how can residents reach you to get the requirements of the proper waste bin?
With regard to enforcement, we serve abatement notices. For example, now we are working in Asokoro and other areas of the city, advising people on how to get proper waste bin and also how to containerize their waste. But you know, enforcement too is also very expensive and difficult. So this kind of medium is a lot better, that you simply just understand and do what is expected of you to get the proper waste bin. Enforcement, you have to serve abatement notices, take them to court, you know, get conviction and so on. So this is a way that we use, but it's a more difficult way. The easier way is for you to just know that this is what you're expected to do and to support us in that regard. We have a Servicom number that you can reach if you have any issue, if your waste is not removed in time, or if you want to buy a proper waste bin, we can advise you where to go. We also have a company outside our office there that can also help you. So you can just, you know, buy it from them. Some people complain that they can't find it, so we tell them you can come. It's a private company, it's not for free. We don't sell waste bins, it's not our responsibility. So the Servicom number, can I read that out?
Yes, go ahead.
0901 982 3895. And the customer care number also, 0815-675-4018.
Or better still, you can just walk up to any APP office and...
Yes. Our head office is behind the Defense College. Most people in Abuja know this. You can come there and make your report, and we respond quite fast.
Now, what steps has the board taken to ensure compliance with environmental regulations, particularly from industries and businesses, and what measures are in place for enforcement?
So, LCT for now is not really an industrialized place like Lagos or Port Harcourt, Rivers, that is where you have the oil companies and the big manufacturing firm. The industrial zone in the FCT is Idu Industrial Zone, which is still being developed. But for the companies, we have big companies like Coca-Cola, who are not really that polluting. What they discharge is basically wastewater. So they know what the standards are. A lot of them also implement preliminary steps in treating of their sewage, and then they connect to our major sewer lines, and the sewage is conveyed to the treatment plants. So the industries, those that are also polluting, are not so much in the FCT, regarding like air pollution from the refineries, for example, or from manufacturing companies. We don't have so much of those in the FCT. We have hotels, and then there's also an industry. We advise them to implement waste separation and minimization, and many of them are now doing that. you go to the hotels, instead of using those small plastic bottles, maybe like for their bathrooms, they now have big dispensers. So this now reduces material usage. So when they do environmental audits or impact assessment, our consultants advise them to reduce the materials they discharge into the environment. So this is one way. I was at one hotel some time ago. I noticed that all the little containers have now been replaced with large containers. This now reduces materials that go into the environment. So this is one way. So the issue of large polluting industries is not so present in the FCT yet. But again, we have a department of environmental monitoring with experts, the engineers, the scientists there who know how to monitor these industries to make sure that we don't get to the level where the air quality is compromised. Compared to other cities in Abuja, we have fairly good air quality precisely because we don't have this kind of industries, but we have cars. So we have cars who are also polluting because they are old. So this will also affect air quality, but the department of the VIO should speak more about that, how they monitor.
Okay. Now let's look at the area of street hawking, which so many traders have turned a pedestrian bridge to selling points, where they sell items, display items in broad daylight. What can the board do to stop such practice, as the bridge is meant for?
It used to occur in the old days, but we don't have it anymore. If you go along Airport Road, the bridges are clear. The one in Cairo, they no more selling there because we have officers there who resume at that point. So our team, our monitoring team along the Airport Road, takes care of all those 4 bridges. I can challenge you, you go there during working period, you don't see them. Although they come at night.
Yes,
So
that's the problem.
they come at night because we also leave by 9, 10. Our boys are forced to leave. They now come at that time. So with this order we now have from the Honorable Minister, saying zero tolerance to begging and hawking the city, we now have a night patrol team.
Okay.
So the night team will be stationed now from 10 p.m. towards morning hours to ensure that you don't have people selling on the bridges. So I also noticed that problem. We will battle this at during the day. Let the drive to a first road, but they come at night, that we know, from 9:30, 10 to the surface. So our night team now is stationed there to take care of this problem.
Now, campaigns, sensitization, information, these are keys to proper waste management and clean environment. So recently, what campaign or sensitization have you put in place to manage the environment?
Yes, like I said, this is one way. I'm talking to FCT residents, so this is part of the campaign. But yes, we had World Environmental Day in June. There was a big gathering at our head office. A lot of private companies came, other agencies came, and they took part in the campaign. Regarding World Environmental Day, you have particular themes for the year. In some cases, it's to combat desertification. Some year they say it's about global warming. In some period they say it's about removal of plastics and so on. So there was a theme for this year. I think it was regarding global warming. Can't recall now. So people were invited. We were in the press. I'm sure you came. You saw the campaign that we did. And on the 19th in Buari, we are meeting again at the Buari Area Council to talk about the first topic you mentioned, open defecation, which is now a big problem and a global imperative, at least for us in the third world countries where it is a problem. So we try to draw attention in these campaigns. Our environmental health team also go around to our communities. We spend more time in Mabushi, informal settlement. They go to Karamajiji. They go to those villages around the FCT and sensitize the communities directly. So you see our OB van at times going around talking to them, teaching them basic waste management techniques, and also even general hygiene. Within the city, you get complaints, people writing and say, my neighbor is throwing water out of the window. I'm on the ground floor. he's on the third floor, second floor, or he's drawing water from the kitchen, you know, all kinds of things. So we send our team there. Surprising, this thing still occur, even in a city like this. Some people just come in here not realizing that FCT is a city created by law. Every single thing is guided by law. Where you live, what kind of house you live in, the height of the house, even the noise level. So that has been also a big challenge we're getting now. Religious noise from religious houses is so much in the city. In some cases, when you have change of land use, like in Metama, so areas that were solely for residential purposes, you now have nightclubs springing up. So what it means that the people living in those areas, you know, even retirees can't even rest. So they complain about this noise pollution. So we also have a night team that goes out with their noise meter. They'll check the noise of the club or of the church or of the mosque and say, no, you've exceeded this noise level. Please can you tone down? For religious houses, because of the sensitivity of religion, we are very careful. I've gone around myself to religious houses, but we take care to, if it's a mosque issue, we send a Muslim there, but they don't mind. I go there myself. I went to a Muslim life camp about 2 months ago, and I said, come in, let's talk. So I told them, well, put your speakers into the mosque, and they even adjusted in my presence. I said, it's not too loud. I said, yes, maybe for you, but for somebody else at 5 a.m., it's loud. So we reached an agreement, and the problem was solved. In some cases, yesterday I got a complaint from somebody somewhere talking about the church. You know, she even sent a video. She was the director of one of our agencies before. But the noise level was so much all through the night, she couldn't sleep. And she sent me the copy of the video. So I sent our team there. This was on a Sunday. So I sent our team, on Saturday, sorry. On a Sunday, I sent our team there. They went there, talked to the church, and asked them to tone it down. So noise too is a big challenge in the city now. In some cases, the gardens. So we're looking at how to begin to solve that problem, because you go to the gardens and they say, no, the people who come here like the loud noise. But then the people living nearby are unable to rest. Coming from work at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, they're unable to sleep. So the man comes back the next day to work, he's exhausted, he's tired, he's irritable, because he's unable to sleep at night. So it's something we really need to address frontally. We're doing it now on a case-by-case basis. So we're looking at how to holistically deal with the matter. Because the complaints are really increasing. Yes.
Okay. And I think stiffer penalties and sanctions will go a long way in addressing this problem. Because once you expose people to noise, the consequences of the noise is hypertension and other health challenge. With that, we have come to the end of today's edition of the FCT Call Center. Thank you very much, the Director of Abuja Environmental Protection Board, Engineer Usilama Brema. Thank you so much for coming on today's edition of the FCT Call Center.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Do join us next week for another edition of the program. I am Paulina Adojo. Thank you very much for staying with us.